In the Layers panel, you can turn layers on and off by changing their layer visibility. And you can also vary the opacity of layers. Let's see how both these layer properties work and when you might use them. First, turning layers on and off. Here in the middle poster folder, this poster here, look what happens to the composition when I turn off just one small element, the orange dots. I'll go to the Layers panel and I'll click the eye icon to the left of the orange dots layer. And I think there's a real impact on that composition. To turn those orange dots back on in the image, I'll click again in the now empty box just to the left of the orange dots layer. So that's basically all you do to turn layers on and off. Why would you want to do that? Well, for one reason, to try out other design options like we just did. But there are other reasons to do it too. Maybe you want to get a better view of something that is behind an element. If you turn off the layer of the front element, you can see the elements behind it. Another reason to turn layers on and off is to deconstruct what's on an image that someone gives you, like this image, for example. If I hadn't named the layers, you might not be able to tell what's on each layer here by just looking at the Layers panel, but what you could do is turn each layer off for a moment and then back on, and that way you can see what's on each layer. Another way that you could tell what's on each layer is to turn off all the other layers except for one, the one you're interested in. So if we want to see exactly what's on the red bush layer, I can hold down the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on Windows as I click the eye icon to the left of the red bush layer. Everything else disappears, and in its place, we see the gray and white checkerboard that represents transparency in Photoshop, and the contents of only the red bush layer. Now you have to be careful when you go to turn everything else back on. If you do anything in between, then the following won't work. If I Option or Alt click that same eye icon again, all the other eye icons should come back this time. But as I said, if I'd done anything else in between, clicking that eye icon to turn the other layers off and clicking it again to turn the other layers on, then the other layers would not have come on, and I would have to put them on one by clicking their eye icons, which is fine. Now sometimes you may want to see what's behind a layer, but you also want to see a bit of the layer in front. And in that case, rather than turning layers completely off, you can make layers less opaque. Let's see how that's done on the left poster. I'll expand the left poster group in the Layers panel and select the navy leaf layer. That's this leaf right here. Right now this leaf is opaque, which means that you can't see through the contents of this layer, the navy leaf. You can tell that's true because the opacity field here in the Layers panel says that the opacity of this layer is 100%. Watch what happens when I reduce the opacity of this layer. I'll click that down-facing arrow and then drag the opacity slider to the left. And there's a very strong effect here in the image. Now the navy leaf is translucent so that we can partially see through it. This technique is useful not only to see what's behind an element, it's also a useful way to create a special effect. And I think you can get some real creative effects if you try it over here on poster number 3. So after this lesson, please open the right poster layer group in the Layers panel and try selecting various layers in this group and lowering their opacity.